Before I go into my story, I would first want to quickly explain myself and my background. I was raised in a Christian environment, and in 2002, I had a spiritual rebirth and became a born-again Christian. I got married in 2011, established a family, and about the same time I began to drift away from my religion. I was unable to find a purpose in my life, and the monotony of my employment contributed to my depression. However, I never stopped looking for the truth, and eventually I found myself reading about psychedelics. Throughout my whole life, I had avoided using any serious drugs at any costs, and had maintained a very clean lifestyle. I was moved by the accounts of other people's experiences, which included meeting God, discovering happiness, and tranquilly conversing with beings, leaving this world, and gaining a glimpse of the hereafter. As a result, I made the decision that I wanted to have a go at it myself. I looked everywhere for DMT, but I was unsuccessful. Nevertheless, I did locate some mushrooms that contained psilocybin. Because I had never taken anything like that before, I decided to test my reaction to the mushrooms by giving myself very little doses over the course of the following couple of months. I didn't know what to anticipate because I had never taken anything like that before. I saw many things that I didn't expect to see, and after the experience, I woke up with a glow and a sense of gratitude for life. The experiences were fairly fantastic. It was as if my eyes were also equipped with high-definition equipment. When I took the mushrooms for the third time, it was the remaining portion of the bag, which was a substantial quantity. I had only been doing it for a few minutes before I began to feel the effects, but I had the distinct impression that something was off this time. I had to use the toilet right away, and when I did, I had the distinct impression that my life was about to end. I was praying to Jesus for assistance, and I was also begging my children in my head for forgiveness for committing such a tremendous mistake. Suddenly, everything turned into a gray fog, and then eternity began to unfold before me. I had the impression that I had been there for thousands of years, and it wasn't a happy one either. I was putting in an incredible effort to hold on, but it was already too late. Even after a number of months had passed, I was still unsure of whether or not I had died and was only imagining things, or whether or not I was back alive. Then, for some reason, I emerged from the restroom and made my way into the kitchen, where I discovered a clock. It had been just a few minutes before I came out of the bathroom where I had been using. I found myself in the middle of a psychedelic maze all of a sudden. This likewise seemed to go on for an unimaginably long time, and there was no way to escape it. I was completely out of control for many hours, up to the point when I achieved my peak. My mental image of the loop began to constrict, until it eventually came to a complete halt. As it did, I observed a digital code on all material items. Time stood still, and everything became still along with it. I thought I heard a lady remark, "Jeremy ate magic mushrooms," but it turned out to be another person. After then, I glanced down and saw what seemed to be a mirror of my father when he was younger. By the way, he has not yet passed away. He then gave me a grin, sort of giggled, and then vanished from the room. Then, all of a sudden, I sensed his presence, followed by that of my mother and sister, and ultimately, the presence of all people everywhere. It was like a dream. I had merged into a single entity with everyone and everything. I was completely conscious, as if the effects of the mushrooms had not even been absorbed into my system at all. I, too, had the impression that I was confined in some kind of institution. I had reached the highest point possible, and there was nothing left to go. That was one of the aspects that I had a lot of trouble comprehending. It just lasted a few minutes, but during that time, it seemed like I was simply free-falling and spiraling down for hours. It was a dreadful experience. The effects of the mushrooms began to wear off after what felt like an additional eternity, and I was able to return to my body. I couldn't believe I was back, but at the same time, I was so grateful to be here that it was the most amazing sensation in the world. I spent the following several months attempting to piece together what had taken place to me and what I went through as a result of it. I was curious about whether or not it was possible for me to have the same sense of oneness even when there was nothing physically there. Through my practice of meditation, I stumbled onto Christ awareness. After a few months of consistent practice, I noticed that my meditation was improving. I noticed that much of the same pictures were appearing in my head during meditation as they had during the first couple of mushroom experiences. Yet, I had not yet arrived at that state of oneness. One of the images I got was of an entity that may be described as light coming to visit me. I was curious, so I inquired, "Who are you?" It said, "I am Lucifer, the one who carries the light. What would you like?" I asked, "Oh, can I fly?" After that, it just sighed, rolled its eyes, and drifted off into the distance. Soon after this, I decided that I no longer wanted anything to do with meditation, and so I stopped doing it. I came from a Christian upbringing, and I was aware that interacting with Lucifer was something I shouldn't do. Even many months afterwards, I found myself wondering whether the experience had somehow dammed up my spirit. During one session of meditation, I was aware of a tingling feeling moving up and down my spine. I only found out lately that it was due to a Kundalini awakening having its repercussions. I had no notion that the consequences wouldn't start to hit me for another 11 months. Before I began getting strange thoughts and feelings, I was perfectly well for the previous 11 months. My head and neck both felt like they were on fire, and I also had an unpleasant vibrating feeling. It seemed like everything was awry. My ear would ring badly on one side or the other. One side of my head would be warmer than the other. I felt bipolar, sad, and nothing made me feel comfortable or secure. My ear would ring badly on one side or the other. It was terrifying to think that anything was really moving around inside of my head. After a great deal of investigation, I came upon the Kundalini depression condition. Every night around 3 in the morning, I would awake due to horrible fire and electrical feelings, combined with having nightmares. When I woke up in the middle of the night, a pitch black ball was coming out of my mouth. Instantly, I felt better, but just as I was about to nod off, I had the sensation of being pulled out of my body and onto the astral realm by something. I yelled out, "Whoa, where are you?" Then it attempted to drag me away from it. I prayed, "In the name of Jesus, go from me," and it happened. One night, when I awakened again, I saw that my forehead was shining. Some external force had placed an extremely powerful electrical charge in the middle of my forehead. I've gained the ability to become more rooted in reality. The fact that I sleep with a grounding pad on my feet seems to be of some assistance.